So here we have one Honda engined rough cut grass mower that's refusing to start. It's really unfortunate. It's ran great last year apparently, and this year it's not wanting to play the game. There's a couple of things I've noticed wrong with it. One of them is we have could do with a bolt there for the wheel on the front. It could be a big improvement over a zip tie. We'll get round to that. So the first thing what I'm going to do is just give it a few pulls and see what happens. We've got us choke on. We should be good to go. The fuel's on, I know that. Just see if there's any signs of life. No, as I expected. So I think what we'll do next is we will pull the spark plug that's situated just at the front and have a look. So I've just pulled the spark plug. Hopefully it's going to focus. The plug's nice and wet to the tip, and also I can smell fuel. So that tells me fuel's getting where it needs to be. I suppose the next thing to do is check for a spark. I'll put the spark plug back in. So I've got it on something clean and metallic, so we'll see if there's a spark. We're definitely sparking there, so we'll refit the spark plug. So we know we've got spark, we've got the spark plug refitted now. We know we've got fuel, albeit may not be correctly fueling, but there is fuel nonetheless. So we'll just see if it'll run on this stuff. We'll squirt a bit into the air intake. You can see the fuel filter's nice and clean on this. Somebody must have had it serviced pretty recently. And that's the area where we're going to be squirting the easy start. So we've just squirted a bit in. We'll see if anything moves. Oh. And we're running. Albeit for a moment. It's definitely burst into life with a squirt of easy start. I'll just have another go at it, see if we can get it so it wants to run for good. So I've had 2 goes with the easy start. It tends to run for a bit and then stall. So I might just have another go off camera for good measure. And if that doesn't yield any results, we'll go a little further into this problem. Well, we've had it running 3 times now on the easy start. And it runs for a few seconds and then stalls. So it's time for further investigation. So for this mower we've got a couple of nuts there to undo. And it's a 10mm socket. You can't get a crank spanner in, so don't bother. It is actually a good idea if you are working on your lawn mower to work on a concrete surface as opposed to grass, because if we drop anything it's going to be difficult to find in grass, where on concrete it increases the chances. So we'll disconnect this. Seems to be another. There's another bolt there. And that is a bolt. That's interesting. Let's see what we can see here. With the cover away, we get straight to the carburettor. I was wrong about the choke. I did say the flap would be closed. It actually isn't, and the choke is fully open. You can see the fuel bowl. Fuel pipe. We know fuel is getting into the engine, so what is going wrong? It could be the mixture, could be the quality of the fuel. That's something I haven't looked into, but nevertheless we'll have a little rethink. So I have to work out how to remove this carburettor. This just comes clean off here. There's a bit of a gasket on it by the look of it, and then we slide it forwards and we kind of hit the limit as to where it wants to go, so we may have to disconnect the linkage, and there is a little spring there to disconnect also, so I'll just work out how to do that. I think that might just lift out. Yeah, that's one removed, and the second one a bit trickier. Yeah, see, the rod's going that way. I'll work on that one and I'll show you how I did it. So the spring, that just unhooks with great ease, and then I think we've got to disconnect the fuel pipe, and then we can move maybe a bit further along, and this linkage should come undone at this stage. It's getting close now. We'll just disconnect the fuel pipe. So we've removed the pipe, and the linkage just gives up. The further the carb comes this way, it just disconnects itself. So we've undone that bolt just to drain the fluid out, and we've got the contents in there. That wasn't perfectly clean, but some muck has came out of it, so we'll take this bowl off here and have a look. So now the float chamber, that seems to be doing its job, so we'll remove this pin. Well, that just came out with my fingers. I'll just check that this is, yeah, it's not full of anything, so it's doing its job and being afloat. That's the needle valve there, what shuts off the fuel. And in there is the main jet, so we'll find a good fitting screwdriver, take that out and have a look at it. So I've loosened it off, and yet it doesn't really want to come out. Oh yeah, it has. That's great. If you're struggling, there is a hole there to put something through, and same the other side. Well, let's have a look at this jet. It looks like I can see a hole through it. I did actually get some dirt out of it. Some dirt did jump out of it, so I've put this rag down just to catch it. It's pretty clean, so we should see everything as it comes out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to gun some carburettor cleaner through that jet, and I'm going to catch what comes out in this brand new cap, just to see if we do get any dirt out of it. Well, the main jet was clean, but I'm just going to leave it in there and give it a little soak. I'll just remove this for closer inspection. It does look like it's a little gummed up to me, so we'll give it the carburettor cleaner treatment and spray it all. So I gave that one a spray, and I've just left it in the bath just in case. It may do a bit more work. So there is a bit of crud in the bowl. I could maybe use a bit of carburettor cleaner and perhaps an old toothbrush to remove that. And then I'm going to spray the carburettor exterior, so that is clean, with the carb cleaner, because we don't want any muck to transfer into it. So I've got a soft bristled toothbrush, just to get to more of the stubborn parts, and we'll clean this up with it. I'm going to squirt the carburettor cleaner. Give that a clean. Hopefully I'll get some of the rust out of it. So I've given that a clean. I'm not particularly impressed with it, but we gave it a clean nonetheless. And we'll get to the idler jet. Now, if we're careful here, we can reinstate this in exactly the same manner. So we just count the turns. 1, 2, 18 half turns. I'll put that to one side. Give this a clean. So if you do identify a blockage, and I may get some criticism for this, you can take a bristle from your wire brush and just give that a poke through, just on the idler jet. Poke through there, and you can poke through the other holes in the carburettor as and when you go. There's a hole there. Just keep everything clean. So I'll reinstate this at 17 turns after a quick clean. So now it's time just to get into the carburettor. Have a good blast through all the holes there. Make sure everything gets a good blast through. If you see any dirt, make sure you get rid of it. See, there's holes there. It's often surprising where they come out. Get in everywhere you can. I actually get the toothbrush on that just to see if we can clean it off a bit. I'll clean the toothbrush. I think that's going to come off, it's like stained. Never mind. It's coming off. Seems to be like this yellowy tinge in it throughout. So it will actually come off, which is great. I think that's probably what's caused the problem. So with a wire brush, I'm going to go through each hole. The wire, this is quite blocked actually. I suspect this to be the problem. Well, I do believe this is the problem. I've gave this a very thorough clean, both with the carburettor cleaner and wire brush strand, and I've got this to the stage where I can pass the strand of the wire brush all the way through. Just the toothbrush and the carburettor cleaner alone wasn't good enough to clear the blockages, so keep going through it till you get every hole free. And I don't believe I've increased the size of these holes by using a wire from a wire brush, where a needle which is tapered could actually do that. So get the carburettor cleaner, I'll just give it a clean off, so I'm quite satisfied now. You can actually put the end in there, block the other end, and you'll see the fluid coming out of the jets. I'm quite happy with that, so I'll proceed to rebuild the carburettor. So I'll place that in its hole, and obviously gave that the same treatment. Can actually see the hole, which is good. You can see daylight through that. That's a big help. I'll just give it another squirt for good luck. I'll drop the screw in and nip that up. Nice and tight. And then we'll get to the float. We'll give that one a good clean, since I've had it on the garage floor. Naughty me. We'll make it all good with a square carburettor cleaner. obviously the pin. That's nice and clean. Just leave that equi-spaced. That should be doing its job and shutting up for the fuel. And the bowl. I'm not too happy with that. That's going to take a bit more cleaning, so I think I'll do a bit more work on that. Well, we do have a bit of a residue in here. Hopefully you can see it. And I've removed the outer best I can with a wire brush, but the carb cleaner is not touching it. So I think the best thing to do is a bit like lime scale. You just take a screwdriver to it and scratch it off, because this is going to be in the float bowl chamber, so this could potentially go all the way through the carburettor, which I believe is what caused the problem in the first place. Well, that's the cleaned product. Now what was in there was comparable to lime scale, so we've had a bit of sandpaper in there around the circumference of it. We've had a wire brush around it, and we've had a good old scratch round with a screwdriver. I can see there's still another couple of more bits to go, so we'll do them. That's literally quite as clean as I can get it, so we'll give it a squirt and reassemble it. I'll do the carb for good measure, just in case. Hold it downwards so everything runs off. One last clean. I think on memory, fuel pipe there. Yeah, I think it was there. Could be wrong. I don't think it matters too much. I'm reusing all the gaskets, so hopefully it will work. A good nip. So I've got the carburettor fully assembled. You can see the linkage spring there, reinstated. It actually worked out where I did this one first as I was sliding it on. There is actually a bigger crank to the rod there, so I used the thin end in there, and you have to just slide that on and that just goes in. And then we can obviously drop this in position as we removed it, and the spring. So we'll just fully rebuild everything and give it a try. So we've fully rebuilt everything. Now it is going to take quite a few pulls to refill the float bowl with fuel. So one shortcut I may try is a little bit of easy start, just to give it some fuel to pull the rest through. See how this goes. We're having some extremes of weather today. So we've got the mower running. Okay, it's time to wrap this video up. Here's what I did here. I got a washer and a split pin, and I think that's a lot better. I couldn't get a bolt through. I would have liked to have had a nut and bolt through. But yeah, that's one repair job finished. I'm very pleased. Thanks for watching, and why not subscribe to learn more of repair possibilities.